Thanks for your time. So tell us why you're embarking on this stay away.
Good evening, Shahan, and thanks for having us. And let us say that first we want to reiterate our solidarity and support to the current ongoing strike by NUMSA. We think we support their demand 100%. You will know that the 7th of October annually, it's a day that is called the Global Decent Work Day, in which the workers across the globe observe this day. When we were deciding what form and content we should commemorate this day in South Africa, it became clear that the conditions under which workers find themselves today are such that we need to go out there and demonstrate about our unsatisfaction in terms of how workers have been treated. They are being retrenched, they are being casualized, the collective bargaining is under attack. There's in the state and in the private sector, there's a lot of corruption. Both these two employers are conspiring to attack the workers at the time of the economic hardships. So it's our view that we must go, as we have always done, to the street to demand to the captains of industry and also to the Department of Labor and the government at large to make policies in such a manner that they resolve the issues that workers are faced with.
It's also aimed at trying to fight corruption, deal with the issue of labor brokers, etc., right?
That's correct.
Now, just tell me about whether you believe... Sorry, go ahead.
Now, I was saying, as I've said, that both the private and the public sector have conspired through corruption one way or another to make sure that workers continues to be the one who bear the brand of the economic hardship that the world is going through now. During the pandemic, even when people were dying, even when workers were not getting their increases from both private and the public sector, but people still found time to steal the money that was supposed to protect the population of South Africa. So that's one of the things that we're going out there to highlight, that it cannot be at a time when all of us, we need to see that we salvage the fiscal constraint that South Africa has. But it is a time when people still find time to think how they're going to steal the money and also deprive the population that are supposed to be defended, including depriving those who have sacrificed their life to be on the front line of defending the nation at a time of crisis like this one.
Yeah. So tell me whether you think that the pandemic is being used by employers and government in some instances without warrant not to give proper increases to workers and address their concerns.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you think of the state, if you just rewind a month back to the 25th of February 2020, where there was no pandemic, no single case reported in South Africa. In fact, there was no state of the disaster in the country. Government reneged from a wage agreement that was signed in 2018. They just simply walked away and expected workers to accept that. To date, as we speak, we're just waiting for the Constitutional Court outcome. And from there, every employer in the public sector, everywhere else, they followed the example of government. So to date, when you raise that matter of the attack on the collective bargaining and the non-increase of salary of workers, they will cite a pandemic today. But at the time when they started attacking the collective bargaining, there was no pandemic at the time. It was not informed by the pandemic to start with. You know that the private sector over the years and over decades have enjoyed incentives from tax rebates, including the cut of corporate tax, but they've been embarked on investment strike. They've been hoarding trillions of rands. They've been siphoning money outside the country. They've not been investing in the country when the economy so much needed that money. Today, because there's pandemic, government has bent backwards, has given them more even tax incentives, including bailing them out, including making sure that the UIF that is given to them so that they continue to pay salary. Otherwise, they did not have to take anything from their own pocket to pay workers during pandemic. But be that as it may, workers are still losing their job in mass, and they are using and citing the issue of pandemic, even though we know that they are lining up on profit.
Yeah. So do you honestly believe that these stayaways or protests have much of an impact when it comes to a response? Because, you know, it's an annual thing. Do you get any joy from what you're doing?
No, well, it depends on the impact of the time, including on the demands of the day. But we're making the point of the stairway simply because there will be those who will not be joining the pickets and the marches that are going to be there. When we made this decision, it was at a time when we're not as yet at level 1. We're at level 1 now. We're allowed to gather as more than 2,000 outdoor. We are going to have more than 30 matches across the country in the 9 provinces on Thursday. But we're saying to those who think that now that we have reached the number of 2,000, they may not go that particular picket. They can stay home because this is a protected strike. It's a strike in terms of Section 77 that both employers in the public and the private are aware of, have been notified, and we have deadlocked and netlocked. It's a illegally protected strike. So a stay away, plus the matches that we're going to have across the country, across the old provinces and many towns. In each province, in each town, there's going to be a protest of not less than 2,000 workers. We think that's going to have an impact because coupled with the ongoing strike in other industries and other unions, we think that the employers and the policymakers are supposed to come to the terms with the fact that workers and the working class in general are actually very disappointed in the manner in which they're handling their issues, particularly when themselves they're holding profits themselves, but depriving the working class the benefit that they so much deserve.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Cosatu's first Deputy President, Michael Shingange.